Hello everybody. Welcome to Coffee, Love, and Books. I'm Michelle, and this is my Oathbringer reading vlog, which I have totally failed at doing at all. So let's jump right in. So initially my plan was to do a little video after each section of the Oathbringer book, because I've had so much trouble with the past two Stormlight books of remembering what happened and how I felt. But I'm 700 pages into Oathbringer, and I'm just now sitting down to talk about stuff. But honestly, that's kind of perfect because that's how I feel about Oathbringer, really. There's not too much to talk about. I know this is people's least favorite of the Stormlight or installments, typically, because it's I don't know. I actually don't know why I've kind of stayed away from spoilers, but my golly, this is, I enjoy it. I love the characters, but there's just not a ton happening. And also, Dalinar isn't a character he's not my favorite main character. I enjoy him. I think he's interesting, but, I didn't know if I was gonna like this in the beginning. And I do like it. It's just, it's not exciting, if that makes any sense. So I'm a little bit over halfway through. Sanderson likes to take his time with, building action and such, but I'm definitely not getting the same edge of my seat feelings as I did with the former two. And I think that makes sense. I've also been reading this in small increments. I've really been doing a horrible job at reading this book. But I've been I've been reading 7 pages at a time. And that's definitely making it feel a little bit more stilted for me. So, overall, I'm loving being with these characters. I enjoy... Ooh, wait. I'm going to put a little bit of a spoiler warning here. The first part wasn't spoilers, but this will be. So I'm enjoying seeing the characters interact. I'm enjoying just I don't know, it's kind of nice not having the insane conflict. We're slowly introduced to more and more stuff as we go along. We're learning about the Voidbringers in this book. We're learning about the... what are they called? Oh my goodness. I'm so bad at reading this. We're learning about the Parshmen and those who have recently woken up from dull form. And we get to see that through Kaladin going all undercover, and then also through Moash at certain points. So that's really exciting. Shallan's great. I love Shallan in this book. I love Adolin. However, okay, so this is where super duper spoilers come in. So if you have not gotten to page 700 of the Oathbringer in the Stormlight Archive, don't watch this. Okay? Alright. So, at the end of book 2, Adolin kills Sidious, and I'm not seeing much from him on that point. It doesn't seem like it affected him much. Or that it affected really much of anything. We get a little bit of drama at the beginning and Adolin being ooh. But we don't really get anything now. So I'm what's up? What's going on? We get a lot of Bridge 4's perspective. That's nice. It's kind of sad in a way, though, because I feel we're losing Bridge 4 as we know it. Shallan's awesome. She's using her powers. She's great. Kaladin, a little boring in this book. I have to be honest. As much as I love Kaladin, we do get some, this was, I went crazy. I was so excited when I read this. But he sees his family, and he has a little baby brother. And I'm yes. But, I don't know. We don't get to be in his head nearly as much. So, he is kind of the brooding dude. So I don't know. I love Kaladin, and I know he's so much more than he is in this book, but I'm just, like, he's a little bit boring in this book, to be honest. But now they're on this super cool mission, and it's like all the people except Dalinar, and I love it so much. So it's like they're in what's it called? The capital of Alethar. I can't pronounce things. So they're in this capital, and they're like, have fun storming the castle. No. But they're like trying to figure out what's going on and all the mind control and stuff, and Shalon gets stabbed to death. Well, not stabbed. She's like stabbed through, and then she pretends to be dead, and they throw her in a thing with... This is irrelevant. Anyway, so they're like on this mission, and I just love seeing Shalon interact with Kaladin, and how she's just slowly making fun of people, kind of in her annoying little way. And I'm also really confused as to where the whole Kaladin-Shalon thing is going, because it was definitely built up, but again, where is it now? I think it's just how I'm reading this. I'm reading it way too slowly, so I'm not getting like the full experience, because it feels like forever since I saw Yasna on the page, and I think honestly it's only been a few pages. On that note, Dalinar's backstory is cool. I didn't think I was really going to enjoy those increments, but I love it. I think it's so interesting. I get so connected, and then I'm pulled out and like, wait, what? No, what happened? I just, it's really cool, and I think it adds so much to Dalinar's character. I think it's really, really interesting. But yeah, so that's kind of where I am. I enjoy it, but in a like charming Jane Austen-y way, and not in an epic adventure fantasy I can't stop reading you kind of way. So that's where I am now. I'll keep making installments, and I'll see you in a bit. Bye. Hello everybody, welcome back. I'm gonna be chatting about the rest of Oathbringer. This will be spoilers, because at this point in the series I don't see how I could have a conversation without spoiling things. But I'm gonna say right off the bat that this is my least favorite Stormlight book so far. And it's not necessarily because I was like, oh, I didn't like this book. It's just because it just doesn't really stand out. And I think that might be because of how long it took me to read it, and how I don't know if I was able to absorb it quite the way I would have beforehand. But, oops, dropped my paper. But I think it definitely just kind of didn't hit the same chord that the previous two books have, nor even the same chord that Rhythm of War, which I'm reading right now, is hitting. And I guess we're gonna talk about it now. Alrighty, so we're gonna, oops, I must have the coffee. So we're gonna be starting with the proest of the pro, my favorite thing. I feel like that's a good note to end on, because I want to be positive in this video, but I want to talk about it first. So, Dalinar and Dalinar's arc in this book are its strongest components. This is Dalinar's book. First book was Kaladin's, second book was Shalon's, and third book is Dalinar, and we get flashbacks from his life before we knew him. And it's crazy because in the first two books we've absolutely fallen in love with this strong, noble, uncompromising character. And we know he has a dark past, but it's never really been displayed for us, and thus we love him. And then we get to this book, and through flashbacks we learn that this guy, he was brutal. He was awful. Like, oh my golly, Dalinar just was not a great guy, and we learned that through this book. And as you're learning it, you realize, whoa, this is so genius. Brandon Sanderson made us love him first before revealing all the awful things he did, and now, like, we love him, but then we're looking at, we're like, who is this guy? And it's really confusing, but it's also genius, and I think it says a lot about the typical redemption story, and Dalinar, also how he's finding out about his past at the same time as we are, and he's also relapsing into a lot of old, very escapist behaviors. So Dalinar's arc was seeing him as not just this noble character was, and I just it was great. It was so genius. Then we're gonna go to probably the biggest con, and I think this just contributes to my kind of meh feeling about this book, and that's the episodic feel of the structure. This entire book kind of feels like we're moving from like plot point to plot point, but in like an episodic way, which isn't bad. Like, I personally enjoyed that. It made it nice to like read as I was going to sleep at night. But for high epic fantasy, I feel like it kind of shouldn't be that way, especially since the previous two books haven't been like that. Like, they've been slow at times, but this book kind of didn't build tension to the main tension point at the end, and that kind of made the end feel unearned, and the points leading up to it kind of just not important, if that makes sense. Like, it was still exciting, it was still really fun to read, I quite enjoyed myself, and you can correct me if I'm wrong about this, because it's been a minute since I finished this book, but it felt like we moved to from plot point to plot point, yes, learning more, but didn't feel like it contributed to the big, whoa, this happened at the end. So I think that's its major weakness. It wasn't bad, it was amazing and very well done, but I think it just kind of was paced oddly. So we're gonna go to my second favorite thing. That would be the power, exploration, and just world building we get in this book. As our characters learn about their situation in relation to the fused and all that comes along with that, us as an audience are getting to learn about these amazing, just deep history, past things, and the world building is genius and beautiful and so fun to read. The reveal about the Prashardi, the singers being the original people who lived in Roshar, or like the entire world or something, and the humans being the Voidbringers, that was just like, and Sanderson tricked us with it too, because there was the reveal in like book 1 where they're like, oh, the Voidbringers are the Parshmen. And they're like, what? Oh wait, maybe that was book 2. There's a theory in book 1. Book 2, they're like, oh, it's the Voidbringers. And then we find out who the actual Voidbringers were. Also, this kind of goes along with the prose, but I cannot pronounce his name. Evil King who takes the test. It likes Tavish. It's a T name, and he's evil. Anyway, his whole bit was so tense. Like, you're like, oh my gosh, Dalinar, like, he's the Dalinar trusts him, and he's evil, and we know that, but Dalinar doesn't know that, and it's gonna be really bad, and it didn't end up being really bad. Like, I honestly don't know how I feel about that guy. He's like awful, but I feel like his objective isn't far away from the objective of the Radiance. But like, that guy's like, he just got into Dalinar's inner circle, and then he's like, oh, I can no longer remain now that I know that we were the Voidbringers. And it just, I'm excited to see where the story takes him. He's an interesting character. That whole thing was so tense, and I just, like, so frustrating every time he was on page. It was, oh wow, that was genius. And then we're gonna go to, the ending was confusing to me. Maybe I needed to go back and reread it and try to process what happened, but it felt very much like, oh, we're in a battle now. And also Armon's evil, and that happened. That didn't feel like, I don't know, I didn't feel like that was built up to in any way, but I could be wrong. And then, like, there's that big face off, and Dalinar's moment was really powerful. Him having to face everything he did, and he comes out way stronger for it. Him doing that allowed him to be super powerful. And I get that. Oh, it was the ideal. But now he's like super, super powerful. So that whole thing was a little bit confusing, but I get it. Dalinar's whole thing was very well built up too. But the whole, we're in a battle now, this is now happening, felt a little bit off. It felt like the least tense of the battles, if that makes sense. Because, first of all, most of our main characters weren't even there at the beginning. They were just kind of like stuck in Shadesmar. They were stuck there, and then they come in and they save the day, and it was cool. But, also the whole thing with, darn it, I cannot remember any of these names today. With Adolin's younger brother, whose name I cannot remember. His whole thing where he's like, oh, he's actually Evil's friend. And that felt like it wasn't built up to. Maybe I just wasn't paying attention. But like, some of these things felt a little bit unearned. I still loved it. Like, the whole victory in the end. So, yeah, there was less tension in the ending than there have been in the previous couple. Because even though it was like our biggest conflict yet, it just didn't pack the same punch. I don't think there was the emotion in it like there have been, like there has been in the previous couple of endings. And that was just a little bit of a letdown. Okay, for my third positive, I have to say the spy mission. It was just so fun. Like, all our main characters going and spying on this city that we've heard about but never been in. And then the queen being evil. And then the baby. And by baby, I mean Elhokar's son. Elhokar! Also, oh my gosh, his development. Okay, so I knew I was kind of sold on Elhokar, even though he's kind of... when Kaladin was like, oh, he's Dalinar's Tien in Words of Radiance. And then in this book, he's like so chill with realizing that he's not the best leader he can be. And he is better at delegating. He's better at trusting other people. He is not just like claiming his, I don't know. He's not being annoying like he has been. And then Sanderson kills him. Sorry, Moash kills him. It was so sad. It was just such a sad moment. And then you see how it affects Kaladin, and you see that more in Rhythm of War, but I'm not going to spoil that here. He is just like completely what? Oh, also Kaladin's whole spying mission on the Parshmen who are leaving slavery, and how he bonds with them because he is forever like the leader of the outcasts and they trust him. And then it's really sad. And oh my golly, and Moash befriending the same folks, and then all of them die. It just, there was more heartbreak in this book, folks. Like, Sanderson makes you fall in love with these characters, and then they die, and you realize how important they are to the characters we love, and it hurts so much, and it just, that moment was so heartbreaking, and I was just like, okay, well, if anyone died, I'm happy with Elhokar. But that was just so sad. And then Adolin's reaction and Jasnah becoming queen is just beautiful. She is so cut out for it, and Jasnah actually takes a back seat in this book. I love her, though. I also love Shallan struggling with Jasnah's new, like, the fact that she's still Jasnah's ward. She's been on her own for so long and done so amazing on her own. And then Jasnah comes in and it's like the boss, and Shallan is like, girl, I've been on my own and now you're coming in and like messing with everything. And then Shallan's moment where she's like, okay, I have to be humble and I have to learn how to do stuff better. That's amazing. That's a really great arc. The whole Unmade thing felt a little bit abstract to be tense. That makes sense. Like, it was kind of like this scary force, but it didn't feel tense or like it was actually going to hurt the characters. So I'm sure there's something coming up about the Unmade later, but I feel like we're going to have to put a pin in them there because they didn't really do much in this book. And yeah, I think that's all the main things. I'm slowly remembering how much I loved about this book. It was so good. Also, not as good as the previous two, but it's a great, all of Sanderson's books are great. So, yeah, thanks for watching. I'm glad I get to chat about Oathbringer with y'all. It's been a while since I've talked about books, and I'm glad to be back. Be sure to like this video if you liked it and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Also, I have a video coming up about making a Vorin Hava, aka like Shallan's dress. So if you're interested in that, just stay tuned. It'll be coming out as soon as I edit it. So thank you for watching. I will see you guys on Saturday. Bye!